What would you say is the most crucial moment to becoming 10x, to developing your 10x mindset, but really to becoming 10x? What would you say is the most crucial moment? I'm going to cut to the chase here and suggest to you, tell you, that your most crucial moment to becoming 10x is when you realize that something is possible. When you realize that somebody else is doing it that is kind of like you. When you see that other people are living that life and you identify with them, that's when you really discover that, you know what, I can do this. So basically, it's when you discover that things are possible. So here's a clue. Let's stop telling ourselves that things are impossible. As a matter of fact, I try not to use that word. Things are impossible. This is impossible. That's impossible. It's not something that we want to preach and say to ourselves on a regular basis, but at the same time, tell people that we want to become 10x. We want a 10x lifestyle and 10x mindset. So first step, stop saying that things are impossible. Stop thinking it. Get that out of your language. Get that out of your energy that things are impossible. So that's the number one thing I wanted to suggest this morning. Another step we might call is to start talking about possibilities. When we start talking about possibilities, we open up avenues for ourselves. We open up gates for ourselves. We open up our own eyes to see things that were there, but we were so busy talking about things that are impossible that we couldn't see them. They were already there, but our eyes were closed to them. So now that we're going to be talking about what's possible and saying anything's possible, who knows? Basically what we are doing is opening up our minds to the possibilities of the world, of our lives, the possibilities that live in other people, the possibilities that live in ourselves. That is when we really start to avail ourselves to winning and 10x. Okay, so now I got a 4-part piece for you. This is actually the third step that I wanted to talk to you about. Sorry about all the numbers, but not very sorry, because this is very powerful. I'm so happy about it, and I'm so thrilled about it. We're talking about becoming 10x, and basically what we're talking about is developing a 10x mindset, and really the process of believing that that is who we are. The minute we believe it's who we are, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. So now, here's what we want to do. 4 parts. Write it down, okay? Write down, what is your 10x? What does it mean to you? What does it look like? Now, just for illustrative purposes, there is a writer, a physician back in the day, M. Scott Peck. I read one of his books years ago. It was during a snow blizzard. I was stuck like in Kentucky somewhere. I believe it was Covington, Kentucky. On the way to Cincinnati, there was a crazy snow blizzard. I was driving a Jeep, and the Jeep wasn't made for that kind of weather. So I ended up getting stuck, and I decided to pull off and go to a hotel. I started reading this book. The next day, the car wouldn't start, and I just kept reading this book. I stayed another night. I finished the book, and guess what? You know what? My life changed. I decided I wanted to be like M. Scott Peck. That was the kind of guy I wanted to be. That was the kind of physician I wanted to be, somebody that inspired people and wanted people to do well and showed them ways that they could do well by adjusting and working with their mind. There are others too. Peter Drucker's one in business, Stephen Covey. But these are my 10x people. This is the picture that I have in mind when I'm thinking about what is 10x for me. But you know what? Sometimes I forget. Like when people ask me, what are my aspirations? Then I'm like, let me see, what are my aspirations? What do I want to be when I grow up? Can you believe that? And so that's why it's so important to write it down, okay? And the second is to read it. Not necessarily out loud, but read it. It must be said, it must be read, okay? So write it, read it, and then say it and live it. You got that? Write it, read it, say it, and live it. Your life will change immediately. Now, if next week, if somebody asks you, Hey, so what do you have on the horizon? What are you thinking? And if you fumble around like I did, well then that means you didn't get to the point of believing it. But if you're talking with others and then you don't have to think about, or you don't have to make those calculations, like, let me see, what would 10 times my salary be? When you have to make those calculations, then it's because you didn't believe it. All right, so now, Dr. Sean's 4-step method to become 10x today. All right, can't be any simpler than that. Now, if you don't write it and read it and say it and start living it today, it's okay. Just admit you didn't want it. Okay, no problem. Keep winning.